Now, Coach.
Total unknown person.
Yeah. This is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic podcast, sponsored by Reps Virtual Reality, First Down Playbook, Rack Coach, Tip of the Spear, The Top Hopper, Sports Workbook, Next Pick, and we are streaming on Sidelines Sports Network. I have the GOAT. When he retired, Mike Tomlin shouted him out. Coach Tomlin, thank you for doing that. We want to get you on the podcast. All the Virginia high school coaches love you. Mike Tomlin shouted him out. He coached Ronald Curry. He coached Tyrod Taylor.
Mike Smith, not Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin just shouted you out, Coach, on Twitter. I thought that was such a huge deal that an NFL – I've never seen an NFL head coach tweet and congratulate a coach on his retirement. You know, that meant a lot to me as a high school coach that he did that. I know he went to Denby, but Coach Mike Smith, Coach Smith, for anybody that doesn't know, you had one of the longest careers in high school coaching. You won 12 state championships, over 500 games, and helped so many kids. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Coach, and where you're from.
Well, I'm so old I can't track myself back to the beginning. I was born in Anderson, Indiana.
Wow.
Early years in Anderson, Indiana. Although my parents were from Southwest Virginia, we moved back to Southwest Virginia. I'm sorry. Nice county in the state, Lee County. So I spent time in Lee County and Kingsport, Tennessee, but I went to school in Lee County. Went to college in East Tennessee State and LMU. And finished my master's degree at Hampton University. In between, before I did that, I started medical school. I was at MCV 1 year.
Man.
Decided that wasn't what I wanted to do. I mean, you know, I wanted to coach.
Amen.
And so I made that decision. And it's been a blessing to me. I mean, I've never regretted it at all. Sometimes the only time I ever regretted it when I went to cash my check.
So Coach Smith is the executive director of the Virginia High School Coaches Association. Now, this is not an association that just started up. This has been an association that has been around for a long time. Coach, when did the association start?
1947.
Wow. So the high school coaches in Virginia, Coach, I've been on a little tirade. I've been a little upset. And this is what I'm standing for after about 2 days of people complaining, people messaging me, telling me that I need to be quiet. The high school coaches in Virginia, we are not going to stand for any college coach in any state coming to our state and telling our coaches and telling our high school players that they need to come to camp unless they have a legitimate interest in that kid and to offer him. The days of just inviting kids to camp or telling kids that they need to come to camp are over with. Now, Coach, I've found out a few things in my 20 years, and you've been coaching a lot longer than me. Some of these coaches, instead of being honest and saying, hey, man, the head coach, he wants guys a little bigger, a little faster, they'll say, we need you to come to camp. So really, it's a nice way of telling a person no. Coach, what are your feelings on this, and where do you stand? Is there anything we can do as the VHSEA to protect our kids? Because you're an advocate, Coach, for high school players and high school coaches. So how do you feel about this as being the executive director?
Well, my feelings would be that you're always going to have a group of parents that are wanting to send their kids to camp
Yes.
for one reason or another.
Yes, that's
Some of it
fine.
might just be for summer management when they're working, or not traveling, or the kid has great aspirations, or the parent has great aspirations. But if it is honestly a child and an athlete that has the opportunity to play, then I think it needs to be very clear where they stand on their approach to going to camps. They shouldn't be overwhelmed with that. I don't see coaches going in and telling them they need to go. I think they should honestly answer the athlete themselves, and the parents should say, is this going to enhance his chances of getting a scholarship, and to what degree? What does he have to do? If that's the purpose and they're spending their money for that, and a lot of them are. Most of these kids want to go play college football, and they have a short summer now, and if they've not already been signed, then they're looking for a place to go. If it's their junior year or earlier, they have a little bit more time. So the comparison of the athletes is going to be big, but to just take them there and then not to follow up with them, I don't agree with that, because sports is all about the kid and the coaches.
Coach, you told me back during the pandemic, me and Coach Billy Mills called you, Coach, and you told me, you said, I don't know who Troy Taylor is, but I know Billy Mills. But you said, if you're for the kids, I'm for you. And a light bulb went off in my head. Coach, I've been following you for many, many years. My dad went to Appalachia High School. He's from Southwest Virginia, and he always used to talk about the Appalachia Bulldogs and the Hampton Crabbers and how many games each of y'all had won. So, Coach, thank you for coming on today. We've got a lot to talk about, but so you're saying if a kid wants to go to a camp and it's up to them, that's fine. But we don't want college coaches hustling or lying to our players and to our coaches in this state just to make money off our kids, because money's tight and these camps are $100. How have camps changed, Coach, since you've been coaching?
Well, it seems as though in the beginning, the coaches coached through the the college coaches recruited through the high school coach.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to have all changed these days. I don't think they just recruit them in their performing camps, but in their 7-on-7 camps. They even look at some of those on grounds. But I always realized that the camps at the colleges were money-making things for the assistant coaches usually. Mm-hmm. But those camps were not a recruiting ground. Coaches got out and did their recruiting, attended games. You see less and less coaches at high school games anymore in the live sitting of the game to watch the kid or go to practice. When they finished their practice on Thursday, they were to school on Friday. Or they finished on Wednesday and had to walk through on Thursdays, they were there. I don't think you see that anymore. I know the last couple of years I was there, seldom did I see a coach. I used to, every time the bell would ring, I'd see Phil L. Mason.
Talk
that tobacco juice on.
Coach, I want to get Phil L. Mason. I want to get Coach L. Mason on here. I know you can give me his phone number when we get off, but Phil L. Mason, when you did the Kirk and Bird podcast, which I recommend everybody to go and listen to Coach Smith, he did 2 hours on the Kirk and Bird show, and you talked about Phil L. Mason gave you the greatest compliment that any coach could ever give. He said he's been to practices at high school, colleges, and NFL teams. But the best practices he's ever been to, Coach, what did Phil L. Mason say?
It was a crabber practices out behind Hampton High School.
Man, what does that mean to you as a coach? Because that's probably the ultimate compliment a coach could get. Not that you won the most state championships or the most games, but you had the best practices.
Well, I think it goes back, and you're talking about your dad being from Appalachia.
Yes, sir.
Only about 20 miles up the road from where I played in high school. So I had some second cousins that probably played on the team up there with him. They had some great teams up there. And I'm not going to say unfortunately, but fortunately, we didn't play them. We were in a different bracket there.
So they were pretty good, Coach, is what you're saying.
They were good, man.
Why were they so good? Just coal miners? They're from the side of the mountain, Coach, the holler?
I think they had some really good, fine coaching up there. Was it Coach Reed?
Coach Riggs was the coach, and my dad played for Teddy Bear Clark. He was before Coach Riggs.
Teddy Bear Clark. Yeah. And then you get people like the Stone Egg Stallion.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
They declare he's the best that ever ran the football.
Yeah. Coach, he showed up right before the game, Coach. The Stone-Egg Stallion. Talk about the Stone-Egg Stallion, Coach. Not many people that are watching this podcast ever even heard of the Stone-Egg Stallion.
Ed Clark.
Ooh.
His nephews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were great players. The running back for Appalachia for Ted Turner. I mean, for Coach Turner, Tom Turner. Mm-hmm.
Travis went to. The youngest one, Julius, went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, Julius
Thomas went to Virginia.
So they're related to the Stone-Egg Stallion. They played for Powell Valley, and your great friend, Coach Robbins.
Yes, they're his nephews.
Wow.
Their mother, when he was inducted posthumously into the State Hall of Fame, he and I went in at the same time. His sister was there to take his award. Now, his sister worked down in the coal mines.
Yes.
Down underneath the coal and digging coal. And that was Thomas and Julius's mother.
Wow.
And she was absolutely gorgeous woman, beautiful. But you could tell she looked like a physical fitness. She should have been out promoting it somewhere. Super nice person. But there was some good football come out of. I had 3 cousins, Snodgrass boys, that played up there. Big Merle, all of them. Appalachia were tough. Appalachia Bulldogs. And you had another one between there, and at that time it was Big Stone Gap.
Mm-hmm.
You had J.I. Burton, which everybody just called Norton.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big fullback named Oscar Bell.
Wow.
When I was playing. Oscar Bell was 6'1", 255 pounds, went to Purdue. It's exactly like hitting a telephone pole.
Man.
And my dad, before my dad passed, he used to see Oscar about every Friday night playing bingo in North.
Man, Coach. I mean, it's just amazing that basically, our families come from the same place and that we're both coaches.
You get that. It's unbelievable, when I was in Bennington Gap, we were segregated and had a little short bus that took the black students up to Big Stone Gap to Bland High School.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, my uncle, and one of my cousins, we used to go up. They play on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up there wondering why the hell they're not down there playing with us.
Yeah, Coach. You're all about the
I
best
can
players,
figure that
Coach.
out.
Man.
Years later, I had a quarterback on my team, and I had a daughter that was a cheerleader at Warwick High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew the father. I'd taken a couple of graduate classes with him at William Marion in Hampton University. And come to find out, he was the principal of that little school up above us that the kids went to. They got to high school and had to get on a bus.
Wow.
I mean, we 75, we're 50 yards apart. And so I asked him, is that true? He said, yeah. And then you've heard of all the great players at Huntington High School, Benny McCray and all those guys.
In Huntington,
Eddie Baco used to coach down there.
In Huntington, Virginia?
In Huntington, yeah, Huntington High School in Newport News.
No, sir. I'm not as familiar with the Newport News. Is that before desegregation?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me a little bit about him, Coach.
They were unbelievably good, but what I was getting back to was it ended up that the guys that were coaching there and playing at Powell Valley High School ended up coming to Newport News and coaching.
Wow.
Before, they had so many. You have to do your little research. I get you a guy on that played down there named Alvis Mann.
Ooh, Coach, yes.
Alvis coached for me for 35 years.
I know, Coach.
Greatest people ever walked on the face of this earth.
And Danny Mitchell, I got to know Danny Mitchell when I was umpiring travel baseball, and what a coach he was. And on that Kirk and Bird podcast, Coach, you talked about your assistant coaches and the three things that you look for in your assistant coaches. They love the school, they love the kids, and they love the game. And that's what you said was so special about your staff. Talk a little bit about those guys and what made them so special, Coach, those guys that coached for you all those years.
Well, I had another guy that fit in up there that ended up in Richmond, and
Bob Tyson.
Bob Tyson became the coach. I became the principal over at Hermitage High School. Those guys, you know, they loved the game.
Mm-hmm.
They just literally loved the game. They loved their school, and they loved their players.
Amen.
They were very stern. No, but I'm telling you, it was became family. We talk about them, enjoyed them. They enjoyed each other, and they were always. We always try to be completely honest with kids. There's been a few kids after they left. I thought, well, maybe I should have played them a little more. But I always told them, you know, you don't have to be out there on the field playing. Remember one thing: it's the will to win. It's not the night you play.
Mm-hmm.
It's the will to prepare to win that counts.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the game, everybody wants to win just as badly.
Yes.
The other team. The will to prepare. So we had kids that just worked so hard and took great pride in what we ended up naming it probably puts you in jail these days. We didn't call them Scout Squad, they called them the Meat Squad. They named themselves.
Yeah, the Meat Squad, Coach. You had to be pretty tough to be on that Meat Squad, I'm sure, Coach.
That was the shoot, man. When you made the starting Meat Squad, you getting ready to move right on over, make a lateral move over to
yeah. The next step is stardom, Coach. If you can make it through the scout team or the Meat Squad, you're the next great player at Hampton High. I mean,
and they were struggled to get there. And it was really funny. All of them had a nick. They asked me names. What's the kid's name?
You're the nickname. Yeah, Coach. You're the nickname king. Someone told me that too. They said, Troy, everybody's got a nickname. You're the nickname king, Muffin. I mean, who else, Coach? Biscuit.
Hey, I said, name? I said, So one day I had a kid there in the last few years. He come up, he'd been out there about 2 weeks. He came up, he said, Coach, I don't have a nickname. I heard the old frog screech over in a tree. I said, you got one now. You're Tree Frog. He loved it, man. He was Tree Frog from then on.
Coach, and that is old school. I mean, where does that come from? Because I've had coaches that did it. My dad did it. Is it just old school? Like,
I think probably where your dad and I came from, down in Southwest Virginia, it was just.
It's like the junk. It's like the Little Rascals. I mean, they all had nicknames.
Everybody had a nickname.
Buckwheat. Oh, yeah. You know, all of them had nicknames. Coach, talk a little bit about, I mean, Coach, some people blaze the trail. Some people move the needle. I mean, you changed the game and how you prepared and how you studied. And talk a little bit about the preparation that you put in and how you prepared your teams.
Well, you know, in the beginning, I had people say, you know, you have to change as time changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to one of the smartest coaches I thought, and one of the greatest coaches there was George Welch.
Yes, sir.
And George came by one day and he said, we were talking. He said, you know, and even the greatest coaches, you got to listen carefully because sometimes they get off track thinking a little bit. George, we were talking about doing some things on the field, and George said, you know, you got to spend so much time these days, he said, in preparation. Like he said, because, you know, the game, to keep up with the game, you got to do it. I said, George, wait a minute. Wait a minute now. I was at the spring game up there. That's when I had Linwood Lumpkins and a couple of kids. And I said, let's remember one thing. The size of that field hadn't changed.
Mm.
The lines haven't changed.
Mm.
The rules haven't changed about being offside. I said, lineman can't go downfield on a pass. I said, what's changed so drastically?
Mm.
And there's other ways to attack things. I said, but here's my feeling, Joey. I watched spring practice, and I respect you. You're probably the smartest offensive mind coach in this country.
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. And I got all respect. I said, but mostly on defense out there, I saw your coaches run out there after sitting up for all season. Each of them had a manual, flipping through the damn manual every time you run a play, run over to talk to the kids. And the kids out there trying to run the damn play and then trying to stay eligible for the next semester. I said, you can't do too much.
Mm-hmm.
Do the things that need to be done. Let them become reactory for them. You know, I've always thought defensive football, you played it correctly, was a lot like wrestling. Man, you read that ball, they make a move, in your mind, you've got a counter move.
Mm.
That's what makes you good on defense. It just, you work on it day and day and day out. And you work on those things till you understand. And then you go in that game and you line up across Mo Bubba and say, Bubba, I know you're good, but I'm going to whoop your ass today.
Man.
I'm going to be right here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to whoop your ass and make that play. That's the way you got to be with it. I respect you, but you're mine today, buddy.
Yeah. You're going against the Crabbers. Man, Coach.
Don't overcoach himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you remember Charlie Nutticon?
No, Coach. Where was he coaching?
He coached for years and years at Newport News High School, and then
I was born in 78. I started coaching in 2000. So that's kind of my timeline.
He was at Mansfield High School.
Mm-hmm.
And had success. He had some good players that played. Although Charlie, you beat the devil out of him. See him next day, he'd be telling you how to coach football again. But
Coach,
I learned.
Yeah.
One thing I learned early on is that you can get some good athletes, not develop them, not work them.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to work. We worked extremely hard. I think one example of it was one summer early on, we had 2 sessions of summer school. And so that summer school would go from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks. And take a week off, and then start back in 3 more weeks. Well, I had some guys, really good players. Oh, Robert Banks was one of them. He was a National High School Player of the Year. But I had some great players. What they decided to do is so they're gone hot in July and stuff. They thought, oh, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sign up for summer school and take senior English or history. So we'll only have to take a lower number of classes our senior year.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I knew what they were doing. They signed up for that stuff where they go and miss morning practice. Get out of 2 a days. I said, all right, I'll just work you longer in the afternoon. Well, after that first day, that didn't suit me real good. So guess what? From then on, the Crabbers' first practice, we were lined up doing exercise at 5 a.m.
Hooah.
And then they get out of there, throwing some clothes on, stink like Billy Goats.
Yeah.
Go to class, eat them lunch, come back that afternoon. We'd be out there about 4.5 more hours.
Man, Coach.
But we were going over to play Kempsville, and that running back that they had just went into the Virginia.
Dozier?
DJ Dozier. That's all you had read about was DJ Dozier.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good kid. And we got over there, Danny Ford, everybody in the ACC, all the coaches everywhere they were there after DJ Dozier.
Mm-hmm.
Kid that I told you about earlier, Robert Banks.
Yes, sir.
He was a defensive end. I got him his junior year. He'd been going to Peninsula Catholic fan basketball. And I got him playing his sophomore year. This was his senior year. He was 6'4", 245.
Mm-hmm.
I had moved him from defensive end, moved him to linebacker.
Inside or outside, Coach?
Inside.
Ooh.
He could run. I'm telling you, the first play they ran, and we knew what they were going to run. They run that big sprint draw with DJ Joseph.
What a great play.
It looked like a damn bulldozer hit him right under the chin.
Man.
Banks done knocked him out. He only played half the first quarter. I think we beat him 50-something to nothing.
He didn't want no more of the Crabbers, Coach.
But they asked me after the game, they said, well, how did y'all stop him? I said, well, look at the two teams. I said, he's one black kid on the team running against 21.
Yeah. Y'all got better athletes, Coach, and they got one guy running the ball, and you got 11 of them. I think y'all was focused on DJ Dozier.
I said he's a great player, but we had more speed.
Speed
coming everywhere.
Speed, Coach.
But see, that's what I was getting at.
Yes.
You come in, and you think you can make anything into a football player to a certain degree. Big thing is finding the position they can play. But I learned very early in my coaching career, no one ever won the Derby on a mule.
Yeah, I heard Joe Taylor say that many times.
You need some thoroughbreds.
Yeah, you need something. You had them, Coach. Coach,
I had some thoroughbreds.
You had them, Coach.
I had some thoroughbreds, boy, and great kids.
That's what a lot of people forget about. Is they're great players, but they're great people.
Oh, good people.
I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking about Marcus Hagens, Coach.
What a great guy, Marcus Hagens. Ronald Curry. All those guys.
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod's such a good, and you know the thing about Tyrod, an only child. Boy, what a good kid he was. Kenny Gilliam, who was the captain of the Richmond team, one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, and one of the smartest ones you ever meet. And the coach I was telling you about earlier, Albus Mann.
Yes.
Boy,
his son was a great player.
He's a great guy. And he played down in Huntington. That would be an experience for you to. He knows all those guys. He remembers everybody.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to him, Coach. Now, there was a rumor that went around that you used to play 12 guys on your goal line defense. Is this true?
No, it wasn't me. I tell you who it was, though. It was a guy I used to coach with. Played against me.
I mean, what's the difference, Coach, if you get a 1-inch penalty, right? I mean,
hey, they stopped us and didn't catch them.
Yeah, go through that story, Coach. Go through that story. How you Coach, your football IQ, I mean, is off the charts, and you knew that you had the numbers. You knew you had enough to block his guys. So talk about that, Coach.
Here's the thing: we got down, and the guy that was coaching the other team was a good friend of mine named Bolin Shoup. He was the first head coach of Bethel. Kozlowski was his assistant. So we're playing them down at Darling Stadium, and old Shoup get in there, he get the gap 8. So
some of these guys don't even know what that means, Coach. That means 8 guys up on the line, and you got 3 guys behind them, right? Well, 4 guys in his.
3 guys behind him.
Yeah.
I came in there. I came in there with put a flanker out wide on one side. I put that old big fullback tailback back there. I just come off with a little slide step, fake that old fullback right up the middle. Well, here come that safety. I throw the ball to my tight end. They didn't see nobody left down there. He didn't have any more people.
The dump pass, the pop pass.
Hey, well, we call it a little seam, but
yeah.
Pop pass what it was. I did it 2 times. Every time I do it, there's a guy standing there for him. So,
yeah, he only got 3 guys back there. One guy's covering the flanker. The Mike backer's got to cover the fullback, so he shouldn't have anybody to cover that tight end.
No.
Yeah. You know the numbers, Coach. We don't want to tell. We don't want to tell these young.
He should have been. He was helpless in that middle, but he wasn't helpless in that middle. So we're going up, and we're watching Gate City and Fredericksburg.
Wow.
Play for state championship because we're both familiar with Gate City and coming down there. And I've got him in the car. We're driving up in there. He starts talking. He said, "Hey, Coach." He said, "You ever count them people on the defense I had over?" I said, "What you talk about?" He said, "Go back and count them." I went back and looked. He ran 3 people in the game, 2 out right down there on the goal line. Had them all down on the line. He had 12. He had them extra safety in there.
Yeah, he was going to make sure he had all your guys covered.
Oh, he was sneaky, boy. But we beat him anyhow.
Coach,
it didn't beat bad.
Talk about Coach Kaz and Bubba Chuck, Allen Iverson, Coach. Talk about playing against those guys and the wars y'all had.
Our wars they kind of went south on us early. We had some big games there when Shoop was coaching. And then Kaz started coaching. We played on Saturday, and there for about 5 years, we had some battles. But it kind of on there. We had some battles with Kickertown when Kurt Newsom was there.
Man, we're going to talk about Coach Newsom, but I know you got some stories about Allen Iverson, Coach.
Well, Bubba Chuck was Bubba Chuck. I actually think Bubba Chuck was supposed to have been a crabber.
Man.
They get him over there. I like Chuck, though. I always liked him. We're playing him in his senior, would have been
his junior year, yeah. Which was his senior year.
I had Meyer Newsom, and I had quarterback over. I called the play, and I heard somebody call the play. Call the play, Coach. I'm getting tired of waiting on you. I look up. Hey, Bubba Chuck standing right on the hay.
Is he listening, Coach? Is he listening to the play?
He just over aggravating me.
Golly.
I said, Bubba Chuck, you better get your hind part back on the other side. We lost to him that day. We shouldn't have because we beat them all day. And old Bubba Chuck gave a fire catch signal at the end of the game and ran a damn kickoff back about 90 yards on it.
Man.
And they didn't call it. Our people just stopped.
Yeah.
Mr. Collins.
And then he went on. He played against your great friend, Coach McPhee. Talk a little bit about Coach McPhee, because Coach McPhee credits you, Coach, for being his mentor and for learning so much. But in Richmond, Coach McPhee was it. Me and Coach McPhee's son are the same age, and he was the first guy that had Nike uniforms. He was the first guy in Richmond that was taking his players to camps. He was the first guy that was getting his players offers. Joe Paterno was coming to his school, and he says he learned so much from you. Coach McPhee is a GOAT. He's the GOAT of Richmond. Talk a little bit about your friend, Richard McPhee, Coach.
Well, first year we went up to play him. We win those championships, and we'd making a highlight film. And at the end of the highlight film, we'd always put "to be continued."
Mm-hmm.
So they started talking to McPhee, and that's when Mac was a little heavier.
Yeah.
He had that flat top, and he was heavy with that flat top. I said, "Dad, go on. McPhee, you could land the C-130 on top of his head." But boy, he would land it on us. When they come up there, when they leave, it's going to say, "This is the end."
Wow.
He would put some words on us. So we go up there. He kicked the ball off.
This is at Hovey Field at Virginia Union. I was there.
Yeah. And we wear them out. And
I think Ronald Curry was the quarterback, wasn't he?
He was.
And I remember watching y'all, Coach.
No, now was Ronald quarterback then or Marcus?
I believe it was Ronald Curry was the quarterback, and he was playing free safety 20 yards deep, and he never had to move because it never got to him, Coach. It won't get out of that box. I mean, it was man.
Raymond Mann and his cousin, the other little man, was up the linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if Marcus might have been a quarterback.
He might.
I don't know, but we whooped up on him real good. And after the game, the guy said, "Well, what do you think about Coach McPhee was talking about the end of no more? It was going to say the end this year." I said, "You know what? I think that's great that he feels that way because he does a great job supporting his players."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I love that about the man.
Mm.
He promotes his players. He has great players. And he did a great job for those kids.
Yes, he did.
He did a great job for him. And the guy, I think, in the league up there right now, to this day, I think he smoked him. He undermined Mac when he was over there.
Mm-hmm. Coach Newsom. Talk a little bit about Coach Newsom and him coaching at Kickintan and him coaching at Heritage, and then you getting him the job at JMU. And I love the story about the coach saying, "Well, I don't know if he can recruit." So talk a little bit about when did you first I don't know if he can recruit. Yeah, sure. Talk a little bit about him, Coach, because y'all are from the same area. We're all from the same area. Kurt Newsom, who is I love Coach Newsom.
Kurt went to Emory Henry. He went to Phoebus High School.
Wow.
He ended up at Emory Henry, and he coached at a little place called Irvington.
Yes.
And you had to ride a pack mule back in there. And you had to leave 2 days early to get to the stadium.
Yeah, it ain't near nowhere. Yeah, that's like what is it?
I'm not sure nowhere would register.
Yeah,
but with Kurt,
that's like Whitewood, Coach.
I don't remember where it was. We went there. I don't know. Okay, but after Kurt left down there, he came back and he was assistant at Phoebus.
Mm-hmm.
And for about, I don't know, 2 years maybe. And then he got the job at Kickintan. Kickintan had got down in the dumps pretty bad. He was struggling to bring them back out. And I was actually Danny Mitchell and I was sitting up in the stands, and Kurt was at Kickintan. He was playing Phoebus, and it was a guy, and let me knock on wood, he's dead now, but he was just as bad as his life. He started giving Kirk. He's sitting in the stands belittling Kirk. No. I just couldn't take it no more. I said, "You need to shut up. Don't say anymore." I said, "What you know about football, I can put in the damn timber."
Hooah.
And he was on city council. How about so? Kirk got on through there, and we got to the playoffs. We were in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Kirk Collins said, "You mind if I come over there and just hang around practice and watch your practice, coach?" I said, "You come right on. But I tell you what, when you hang around practice, you're going in the box during the game."
Wow. Yeah, you're not gonna come out here and watch and not help me. You thought you Coach, you're always thinking, Coach, and I mean, you're the winningest coach in the history of Virginia, but you're pretty confident in your own abilities. I mean, it's like Coach Bedwell. Coach Bedwell, he was so confident in his abilities that he didn't have an ego. He had an ego, but he knew what he knew, and he knew if somebody could help him. And you knew Kurt Newsome could help you. That's
well, I thought, I was trying to actually, it's a little bit of reverse. I was trying to help Kurt. I wanted to be up there and see how we operated out of the booth. And
yeah.
But after a few years, they got to be looking like I was looking in the damn mirror.
Man.
But you're talking about Bedwell. I don't know Bedwell. All I know Bedwell. I'm not sure
Yeah, Coach. Yeah, he was my boss, and yeah, I just want to talk about Coach Newsome.
He came up here, and I had Marcus Hagan, one of my coaches, got all upset with him.
Yeah,
we were going out to practice. He told Marcus Hagan, he said, "I got to teach you how to throw the ball. You're not doing that." He looked at him and said, "He's going to teach Marcus."
Yeah. How many state championships did Marcus win, Coach? I mean, 3? I don't know. What year didn't he win it? I don't know.
He was with 2.
With 2, okay.
We should have won the last one they were in.
Yeah.
Damn. We had 700 some yards offense. They penalized.
Yeah.
We up with 350. They had 145, and we lost the game. Now you figure that out.
Yeah, no, Coach. They didn't want the Crabbers to win that day, Coach.
These 2 guys that were writers, they wrote for the Boston Globe and something, and they traveled, and they would always come to the playoff game. And they told us the year before, after we beat Amherst County, that they said, well, they may have won 4 in a row, but they'll never win 5. And I'll be damned if we didn't have them same jokers next year.
Wow. So Coach Newsome, he leaves Kickintan and goes to Heritage, and he builds them into a powerhouse. And then
he did a hell of a job down there. Watch. Kurt was a hard worker, boy.
He loves it, man. So he wanted to go to JMU, Coach, to be an assistant coach. What was the story about that?
He had been talking to Coach Woods. God had a deal done to go up there.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been talking to Woods about coming up there. And so then they fired Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And they hired the new coach, Mickey Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
So Mickey had just taken the defensive coordinator job at Baylor University. Phone rings, and it's Kurt. No, he said, "I know you know Mickey."
Yeah.
Matthews, can you call him about this job? I said, "Sure, Kurt, I'll call him." And I called Mickey, and he was out practice. Is in a time zone change there at afternoon practice. And he comes in, he calls me right back. And he was putting his staff together, and I told him, there's a boy up here named Kurt Nickerson.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to get rid of him, Coach. You wanted to get rid of him, didn't you?
He did go right, I did.
Yeah, you want to get him. You want to get him a promotion, Coach.
Got him overtrained. I got to get him out of Dodge.
Yeah.
I take a little bit of heat off of me here, but old Mickey, and I knew how bad Kurt wanted to go to college. So I told Mickey, I said, yeah, Mickey, this boy, what can he coach? I said, what you want coached?
Yeah.
Got the ball. He said, well, the big thing is recruiting. He's never recruited. I said, Mickey, he done more recruiting than you have.
He already had the best guys.
He had 17 guys on that kicking team this year. This was on. I got checking on one of them later, and his two brothers had a garden plot listed as their residence.
Wow. Man, a garden plot.
A garden plot.
You've seen it all, Coach.
He had them old boys. They were pretty good football players too. The big boys. But anyhow, we got Mickey said, well, I don't know how much I could pay him. Well, Kurt was only making $30-some thousand down at Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching everything. Mickey said, I don't think I got but about $47,500. I said, Mickey, I believe you could get him for $50.
Man, you're the best.
He hired old Kurt. But the first year, my son was there for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
After he graduated from Virginia. And they had the banquet. And my wife went up to the banquet. And she said all the kids got up and talked. Okay. And that year they won the national championship.
Yeah, 2004?
Somewhere along there. Yeah. 2004, 2005. Yeah, we went down to Chattanooga and beat Montana. And so they said all the kids got up that talked. They all talked about Kurt.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's special about being a high school coach and going to college. Because when you're a high school coach, you know all the kids. And you know their mamas and their daddies, and you coach their brothers, and you coach their uncles. And
hey, you need to keep it that way in college.
Man, Coach, talk about that, Coach.
The one thing you need to remember about the players, they are your family.
Yeah.
Now, I got a few little scrapes, but it was never over myself. It's over fighting for my players and my coaches.
Amen.
Go to war for them in a heartbeat. Now,
yeah,
if it were wrong, I'd still.
You got their back, Coach.
And then I'd sit down and have a long talk with them later. But
yeah, I had a coach ask me, how do you make a coaching staff and a football team like a family? I mean, it takes love. It takes time and attention. How do you do it, Coach?
On the top right there.
Huh?
You got to love your kids and the people you work with.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love them, you can't do it. I'll tell you what, I said that's the very thing some of you teachers need to learn. You can't teach here because you don't love the kids. You've got to love those guys.
And love is unconditional. And love,
absolutely.
Love isn't your. Love doesn't mean that you're their friend.
That's the first thing you can't do. You got to be a father figure to them. They're part of your family. You know, and they're gonna exhibit your thoughts and beliefs and traditions. They're nothing more than an extension of your arm.
Man, this is a sermon right here, Coach. I hope there's coaches out there listening. Well, I hope I don't have to play against them, but you got to live it, Coach. You just can't talk it. My dad used to say, I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day. And I can remember seeing you at the VHSCA clinic walking around in flip-flops and your shorts, and you got the fish fry. And, Coach, you're Mr. Football. Like, and it isn't just because you say that you're a football coach. Like, you lived it. You oozed it. It's in your being. I mean, talk about that, Coach. Like, I'm talking about like you lived it, Coach.
Absolutely.
You're a mentor.
And, maybe, and I tell you, and another important part of it, maybe I took some time away from my family that I should not have, but I always try to make my family part of it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife would never miss a game. Man, she'd go, but she yells so much she'd go to the top of the bleachers. So she go to the top of bleachers. I've got a daughter now.
And she was Miss Virginia, wasn't she? She was Miss Virginia?
She was Miss New York and finished third in Miss America.
Wow.
She just moved from she was in New York 10 years, California 6 years. She and her husband, she got 2 little boys, 9 and 5, and the 9-year-old is in the finals of the All-Star game baseball down in Louisiana today. They live in Charlottesville now.
Oh, they do?
So he's in the final game. His team's in the final game.
Well, I hope they win, Coach. I hope
he plays every sport there is, man. Ski. He could ski on the Olympic team. They have a condo out in Vail. Next week, he's going to lacrosse camp.
Man.
And he shot a 68 the other day on the first 9 of the golf course.
Coach, I want to ask you about being a part of probably the greatest rivalry in the history of Virginia. I mean, L.C. Bird and Thomas Dale is big. Appalachian Powell Valley was big. Highland Springs and Varana's big. But in Virginia, it don't get any bigger than the Hampton Crabbers versus the Phoebus Phantoms. And God rest his soul, Bill D. But talk about being a part of that rivalry, Coach, and knowing that you have to play that team every year. And before they expanded the playoffs, if one of y'all lost, one of you might not be making the playoffs. So talk a little bit about being a competitor.
We were always in there. But I tell you, here's the problem. If they're going to set things up the way it was, and it irritated me the way they did it. I mean, we owned Phoebus. We owned Phoebus. Then all of a sudden, you remember when David Watford was...
I know David Watford played at UVA. He played for you.
His senior year, we're playing Phoebus for the regional championship.
Mm-hmm.
They introduced their players. They had 20 players from out of zone. Coach, I'm telling you, it's not to be a joke. I had my wife go down to me one day because there was a kid from Denby had a great year recruiting, receiving. He was a big sophomore receiver. He went over there, and then I told my son, blow the whistle on him, because I had a picture that some people sent me. He was driving a gold Lexus out of Denby over every day. So I went down. They put him on a homeless child.
Man, Coach, how many state championships?
Hey, now you're talking about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
That's where it was invented.
How many state championships have been won in Virginia because of the McKinney-Vento Act? I would like to see the data on that. Like, the McKinney-Vento Homeless Act, how many state championships have been won in Virginia on that act?
Well, probably several of them, because they lie so much about it and they don't follow up on it. You know, I like the rules better back the way the league used to be. And then I said, well, why aren't you guys investigating this? Well, actually, once I did a paper on one, it could have been an indictment for Supreme Court. And they wrote me a letter back from the league office.
Yeah.
Said there's no doubt that this is illegal, but we're not going to stop the playoffs because we've already got them set.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the Virginia High School League. You said you weren't ready to bring your battle gear out, but Coach, the Virginia High School League, they're almost like the federal government. They just want to pass the buck and pass it down to the local municipalities. And if Hampton ain't going to do anything, the city of Hampton school system, they let it go. Just like Chesterfield, just like Henrico, just like Fairfax. If that county doesn't want anything to happen about an illegal player, then they have the superintendent's waiver, Coach, which means everything's all good. So you want to talk a little bit about the Virginia High School League? You know, everybody's scared of
too deep in it because
they're all scared of you, Coach. You mention Mike Smith's name, people start. Why is that? Why, when people mention Mike Smith's name, do they start shaking? I feel like I'm talking to my dad. I feel like I'm talking to my uncle.
Here's what I think. Here's what I actually believe. I'm not going to rap Brad hard on them.
You're retired now, Coach.
It didn't bother me when I was working.
Yeah, I know, Coach. I know you ain't scared.
Here's the thing that always, my biggest thing was, you've got coaches that go out here and it's like being out on the field in a war.
Mm-hmm.
The guys doing the battle know what's going on.
Yes.
Coaches down here in the trenches with these kids know what's going on.
Yes, sir.
And then when you get in trouble, you go into the high school level now, and you get some of these people getting online, getting a administrator diploma.
Yeah, buying an online degree. Yeah.
Have no idea what they're doing with these kids.
Mm.
And then you got a group of people in the membership up there making all the rules. Not one coach has ever been, and now I think they have
Billy Hahn,
35, 36 members in the VHSL membership committee.
The executive committee, the principals that make it up, or whoever they are.
Well, it's one or two principals. There's bus drivers. There's a little bit of everything.
You're the best, Coach. You're the best.
But there's never been a coach. Now,
yeah.
I just like to know why there's never been a coach.
I agree, Coach. I got Dr. Hahn's phone number, Coach. Me and you should have a meeting.
I got Billy Hahn on speed dial right here.
Yeah, Coach. We could call Billy Hahn right now and talk to him. Who do you want to nominate, Coach? Do you want to be on it?
Oh, no. Oh, Billy can't. Let's save that for a different day.
Yeah.
Billy, we'll ask Billy what it was like when he was trying to get a hold of him when he was coaching down in Richmond. And Bill Robbins was beating up on him.
Did he have the long cleats, Coach? Is he the one that got busted for the cleats? The too long cleats?
No, I think it was that's that old boy that came from Patrick Henry, Roanoke. It went
Yeah.
up somewhere else. He got up here and got in trouble, started talking about the black athletes in Ferguson. It about had to ride him out of town.
Coach, what about Michael Vick? Well, I mean,
Great kid.
Great kid. Talk about him, Coach, because, I've had people tell me, well, Mike Smith, he didn't like Michael Vick. And people are always, you're such a polarizing figure. People think they know you, but they never even talk to you. So, like, talk about Michael Vick, having Michael Vick and Ronald Curry, the two best quarterbacks in America, in the same district. What was that like?
No comparison. And I love Michael Vick. There wasn't any comparison between them. It's like turning the lights off. Same thing. I don't know if you saw the All-Star game that year or not.
Oh, I was there, Coach. Yes, I was at that one.
Well, both of them, when you put Michael in, we weren't going nowhere. Put Ronald in, right down the field. Ronald Curry is undoubtedly the best high school football player that ever walked on the field.
4 state championships, 4 in a row, right?
Yes.
And, Coach, I saw him play basketball at UVA at U-Haul. I mean, the guy had the ball, and it won't no stopping him going to the rim. I mean, it was like Ja Morant, but, I mean, probably bigger. I mean, he could go to the rim on anybody. I mean,
his thing that hurt Ronald in basketball, couldn't shoot off the dribble.
Yeah.
And they kept telling him, Boo Williams them kept telling me he's going to the NBA straight out of high school, and then right after his sophomore year. But anyhow.
I mean, but Ronald Curry is a coach in the NFL, and I've told people this for years. Ronald Curry will be a head coach in the NFL one day.
There is no doubt. And you know what really surprised me? That Peyton didn't take him as his offensive coordinator at Denver. And I'm not so sure that he did an offensive job than Ronald turned it down.
Yeah, I want to talk to Coach Curry. I want to talk to Ronald Curry, Coach. I got to get him on here. I got to get Marcus Hagans on here. And Armando Curry loves you.
Oh, Muffin. Yeah,
yes.
He'd be a great one.
They all love you.
North Carolina Central now.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina A&T, I guess.
Yeah, they all love you, Coach. But Michael Vick was just a great player, but he wasn't as good as Ronald Curry.
Michael Vick was a great kid.
Wow. Because a lot of people question his character and say he wasn't a good kid. But you're saying he was.
No. I say he was an excellent kid.
That's great. Coach, that's amazing.
Let me give you he was always in Ronald's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we're talking behind the doors. I can tell you some more.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But Ronald Curry's senior year, we were playing Phoebus, and he went around the end, slipped. It was muddy, and got his arm up and dislocated his left shoulder. Well, usually I can put him back in. Couldn't put his back in, so I take him down to the hospital. I used to take him down to the hospital, and they put him back in. Ronald Curry we go to school on Monday morning, and there's a card from Michael Vick wishing him to get better.
What?
Absolutely.
Coach, I don't know if this has ever been told before.
I'll never forget that.
Man.
And Michael Vick made a mistake, and
we all have. Yes, I agree, Coach. He did.
A mistake when in his response to the FBI. But here's a young man that's 20 years old, $60 million. Never had a pot to pee in, as they say. So he's a good person.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And I want to put this out here because I'm from Richmond and I'm from the 804. I always have people that are trying to get me to start stuff with the 757. and I don't do it because I respect the 757 and we're all from Virginia and the talent.
Yeah.
Coach Bill Holt. Bill Holt was on here, and the first 3 games he had to coach as a head coach, he coached against Lawrence Taylor, the guy from Oscar Smith, coach, that went to the 49ers, I think. And then it was Bruce Smith. I mean, you got to respect the Godfathers. I mean, it all started in the 757. It's kind of, over the years, it's kind of moved up into the 804. But, Coach, y'all started it all. And, I mean, Suey Eason. So I don't have any beef with the 757. I love it all because we're from Virginia.
Let me tell you what.
Yes, sir.
The best lineman that ever played in the NFL, best center ever played, Dwight Stevenson.
Yes.
Howie Long told me, said he's the best that's ever played the game.
And he's from Hampton High.
Yeah, he played at Hampton High. I got him off basketball courts 10th grade. He only played 2 years, 11th, 12th grade.
Wow. You know, Coach Bill Mountjoy, who's been a mentor to me.
Bill Mountjoy used to be at Deep Creek.
Yes, sir. And he had some great teams with some great players. And
we put some great whoopings on his.
Coach, who didn't you whip? I mean, was there any team that I guess Kurt Newsom, was he the coach that when you looked across the field, you said, that's me? I'm having to play against my own. Was there anybody else?
My wife said, he looks like you're looking in a mirror.
I mean, I used to think y'all were the same person.
You know, I think today that I think everybody down on both sides of the water and all the way to Williamsburg all run the version of our defense.
Yeah. Talk about your wide tackle 6. Who did you get it from? And is it true you taught it to Phil Elmasian and that he brought it to Virginia Tech?
Well, actually, what we did, it was Johnny Palmer, who I started coaching with. Johnny called it the loose 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ran it, and then I took over the defense, and I started people around a little bit. So it kind of a combination. There's times that we would run a wide tackle, but that was the base. You know, it's like a base what you did it out of. But a number of people moved people around to where we were counting people on the 2 inside tackles. 31, 30s. And moving linemen around with the linebackers, just making a call on what they lined up in.
Mm-hmm.
And it became very, although I didn't run a lot of man defense, the last game I played against Phoebus, we never ran man against them. We manned them the whole game. And Woodrow runs man. I think Woodrow's going to have a good team this year.
Oh, they are?
I think he's going to be he comes up and plays key, play them.
But they're really good. I know that. They're up above King's Dominion.
Yeah. Old Bill Brown used to be a coach up there. I don't know.
Wow.
If he's still coaching.
Yeah, Bill Brown is out of coaching. His son is the head coach at Colonial Forge. But Bill Brown's one of the greats. I mean, he's been everywhere. Who are some of the, Coach, we've already been on here an hour and 15 minutes. I only want to keep you on about maybe 15 more minutes. Who are some of the college coaches? You've already talked about George Welsh. I know you loved Dr. McHugh. I don't think people know about Dr. McHugh. Talk a little bit about how special of a man Dr. McHugh was.
Dr. McHugh was University of Virginia.
Yes.
About much as you can make it. But boy, he was so good to athletes. Well, he's good to anyone that need to be treated. And he never forgot anyone's name.
Man.
I can't remember first names at all.
That's why you do nicknames, Coach.
That's right.
You just call me the crazy coach from Richmond. The crazy coach from Richmond. The guy who's related to Dad's from Appalachia. Call me Appy.
Oh, old Doc. Doc was the best, boy. He'd treat people. And I remember one time I come down the road over and I said, let's stop at this garage. We'd go in there and he had to operate on the guy, had thing on his arm. Doc operated on him right down the garage.
Wow.
Come dig his license up.
So he actually at his house, he had like basically a doctor's office.
Well, yes, he had everything he needed there. Lee Taylor, the one that was third Miss America, she was had a canoe accident up towards Fredericksburg. They brought her back down there, and the girl that was a counselor on the trip walked in there, and I told him to send her back Doc, because Doc was also a plastic surgeon. She had a big cut across her eyebrow, and a girl, Doc, would you come to the door? She said, "Looked like Albert Einstein, scared the devil out of her."
Man, Billy Mills just texted me. Billy Mills just Billy Mills just texted me, and he wanted me to tell you that he said hello. Billy Mills.
You tell Billy Mills. Let's see, who was Billy playing this year?
He was playing. I think it was Norcom. Was it they're maroon, aren't they? Was it?
Norcom's in maroon.
Yeah, I think it might have been Norcom, Coach, or and it was a muddy game. It was a really muddy game, and it was a tight game. I was surprised how tight it was because they were blowing everybody out all year. Yeah, but Billy got him another one. Talk about these coaches who they win one championship, and then I'm not talking about Coach Mills, but talk about these coaches that they win one championship, then they think they invented football.
No, he's one not too far from you like that, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about guys like him, Coach? Like you told me, if you want to be good, you got to have a track record of success. What was it you told me, Coach?
You got to be consistent, man.
Consistent.
You never think in the past. Always look to the future.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing you think from the past when you lose. Now, then you look back and you study those things that you let get in the way. Don't lose sight of the future.
Yeah. So we got 12 minutes left, Coach. Maybe 10 minutes or so. Let's talk about the VHSCA. You know, there's people going around saying that the VHSCA is not active, and how many members are there, and what are your plans for the future for the VHSCA? And I'm going to be a part of it, Coach. So what are your plans for the Virginia High School Coaches Association?
Been around during the pandemic when I had to take my own money to pay the office bills and things to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
We only had 200 and some members that year. And we'll be back at 3,000 probably, close, about 2,500 this year. Yeah, I can imagine who some of those people are that are doing that.
But we're advocates for high school players and for high school coaches, because there's nobody really looking out for us.
I'm going to get a small committee together where we can have a short meeting and get some things going again.
Yes, sir.
And I plan to do that very soon. I'd like this year to be able to pick like we did before, and we were the ones that started that, was picking the all-state football team.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the all-star game, it's a battle anymore. You can't play it in the summertime because all players have gone to college.
Yes, sir.
When they started letting them go, that thing killed us.
And that was a heck of an event you put on, Coach.
Oh, it was great. But times change.
Yes, they have.
Right now, the big thing we're still staying in touch with the league. Anybody that needs something, and we will support and send the material up there. I would like to get a committee on football and basketball. Some of these I'm going to work to set that up along with Phil Robbins and have a meeting or put you right in that football, man.
Yes,
Get
sir.
You going.
Yes, sir.
And it's all for the kids. And my big thing is, like I said, I had to fork out the money to keep us in this thing in order to keep the coaches' insurance. To get $2 million worth of insurance. I know that Commonwealth coaches are got into that insurance. I wasn't a NOCAD meeting, but the NOCAD, the national organization, they let them get the insurance, but they do not recognize them as the coaching group in Virginia. They still recognize the Virginia High School Coaches Association. So, likewise with the league, the VHSL recognizes membership in this organization in order to get into other contests. And it's the only one that they do that with.
Yes, sir. Is there anything else that we left out, Coach, that you want to touch upon, or is there anything you want to tell the high school coaches out there in Virginia, coming from, the GOAT, Mike Smith?
Yeah. The only thing I can say is the organization of work, just contact us. You can go on VHSCAinc.com.
Yes, sir.
You can send us any information you want, and we will be back in contact. Maybe even form a group together to go research and see what they can find out. I think with the other group, they thought they were going to sit down and have a vote with the league office, but that's not going to happen. But I tell you what, I think you can do with the league office is we talk to each other and get in a group and come up with ideas and send it to them as appropriate ideas. Then I think we'll get some positive feedback.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Coach, for coming on. I'm going to press end and then, so we can end the broadcast, and then I'll just stay on the phone and chat with you for a little bit, Coach. So I'm going to press end here.
Okay.